You made it,
one of the women said. They all seemed relieved to see me alive. It seemed that most girls did not make it out of that stage. One of the women helped me to the bathroom. I was still out of it. I could barely walk. She turned on the shower water and gently sat me down on the shower floor. I could not feel the water hit me. I was not sure if it was too hot or too cold.
Don't look up. You might drown,
the woman said. I was surprised she was still in the room. I had thought she had left a long time ago. They spread my legs apart. I did not care what they did to my body. I did not fight or resist.
We are not gonna hurt you, Sky,
the woman said. I watched her face pale as she washed between my legs. Blood flowed from me and into the drain. I looked down and laughed. I was badly bruised and torn. I could not feel anything. I was going to black out. I could feel it coming. The woman called for the others. I wished my father was here.
Abi and Yaan,
I whispered. I was not aware that I was speaking Arabic, that I was asking my father where he was. I was not sure if it was the drugs or the trauma, but I swear I saw him smiling at me. His handsome face appeared out of nowhere.
Ahibbuk habibati,
I heard him say. I could not help but weep. He had told me he loved me, that I was his beloved. Oh, I missed my father. I never should have left. I should have listened to my mother and stayed in Egypt, stayed in my father's home and in his protective arms.
She is crying for her father,
one of the Egyptian women said. I could hear the pain in her voice, could see the pain in the eyes of the other women from my country. I wondered if they had been here, bloody, raped, and drugged, crying out for their father as they wept in the shower. I figured they had. That they had tried hard to push down any memory of who and what they were before T-Mac. Seeing me here like this brought their memories back in a flood. I saw one of the girls sit down and clutch her head. She started to hum a song. It was one I recognized. The other women from my country hummed it as well. It was a song that Egyptian mothers would hum to their kids when they were fussy or got hurt. It was a song about the love of Allah and how all things heal and pass over time. The women wept and hugged me. We were a family. We were all we had. There was an unspoken bond between us to look after one another. I was helped out of the shower with a clean white towel wrapped around me. It quickly became stained with blood. The women were kind and helped me put on a pad that women use after pregnancy. It was to catch the blood of women who were swollen and bruised. I was badly torn. If I did not stop bleeding, I would die. Maybe death was better for me. They helped put a long nightshirt on me and some loose panties. They had several towels on my bunk and helped me up to it. I laid there for several days. The women would feed me hot soup and give me a hit of the crack that I had been forcibly addicted to. The women would come and go. They would talk about their day on the corner and how much money they made. They were sending tons of money back to their families. It seemed T-Mac was brutal, but he liked to keep his whores and all that worked for him happy. I guess it was smart business. After you broke someone down and strung them out, you go out of your way to make them think you are some gracious protector of theirs, instead of the monster who trafficked girls. As the days passed, I knew it would not be long until I was expected to be out on the corner. The audacity of T-Mac was he felt we owed him for all the terror he put us through, that we should be thankful that he raped us and turned us into streetwalkers. His arrogance made him believe that he was doing us a favor. I guess that was how he rationalized his action. How else could he live with himself? Or maybe he just didn't care. The pain eventually started to lessen. It would not completely go away for months to come. I was banned from having sex until I was healed, but I could service a man with my mouth. I had never done this before. T-Mac had the other women teach me. He would have one of the Egyptian men come in the room, and all the women would take turns showing me. The trick was to make him climax as soon as possible. For T-Mac, our time was money. The less time it took us to service one client, the quicker we could get to the next and make more money. The clients did not care how long it took. They just wanted to come. The women were right. I could not be sober for this. I found myself taking more and more of the drug. I would wake up in the morning and take a hit for breakfast. Others took coffee. I took crack. If I was going to be sucking some random men's dirty cocks, I needed to be high. I needed to be lost in the sky. The moniker that gave me was because of my fast addiction to crack. I needed it now more than I needed to eat. I could not live now without being high, without my mind gone in the sky while my body pleased men for money. I don't blame the men that paid for my services. They're like most people who see a service they want and thus pay for it. They had no idea what I had to endure. Most like to remain clueless and ignorant about this business. They like to think this is something we chose to do instead of it being forced upon us. I guess I'm still naive in the fact that I like to think that most men are good. If they knew I was forced into this life, that they would help me instead of pay to use my body.
Sky, you ready?
One of the women asked.
Ready for what?
I replied. The woman looked at me confused, like she could not understand how I did not know where I was about to go.
It is time to start paying Tumak back and get on the corner,
she said. My first week on the corner was not as bad as I thought it would have been. I was constantly high, so I don't remember most of it anyway. It was all a blur. I would wake 1 minute in some man's car, then blink and I'd suddenly be back in my bed, sweating and shaking from all the drugs in my system. I was not sure if I was doing a good job or not. Honestly, I did not care. As long as I stayed high. I knew I could not do this sober. All the men seemed the same. Black or white, they all were dirty pigs to me. They all smelled of smoke and shit. They all tasted horrible. I think I started to lose my mind then. I would see my father frowning at me. I found myself talking to my father as I waited on the corner with the other girls from my country. They would look at me concerned and I would smile at them. When I tried to sleep, I could hear my father weeping for me. The drugs had me so gone that I don't remember the years passing, nor do I remember being pregnant and having my first child. She was half white. I was surprised T-Mac didn't kill her. I named her Maya. My father was there as I gave birth to her. Only I could see him, but he was there. He held my hand as I pushed out his granddaughter. He laughed and told me how beautiful she was. Then we would argue when he asked me who the father was. I would get angry because he seemed to forget that I was a streetwalker now, and that I did not know who the father was. T-Mac didn't take me to a hospital. He had his own doctor on his payroll. She seemed just as strung out as me. I noticed T-Mac didn't have too many men in his employ. I wondered if that was because he was a coward, that he knew he could not control a man as he could a woman. I was back on the corner shortly after I had Maya. T-Mac didn't let me heal. When I asked him if I could have more time, he laughed.
Your mouth works just fine,
he replied. I doubled up on my drugs just so I could deal with the pain. I was bleeding still. Maya was my first child and she really ripped me. I became a walking zombie. I was a corpse who was pretending to be alive. Every now and then I would have a dream of laying in my bed in my father's house. I knew it was time to get up for school. I could hear my father calling me.
Aisha,
his soft voice called. I hid in my bed and pretended to be asleep. It would take all that I had to hold in my laughter as he got closer.
Where is my Aisha?
My father said. My heart raced and small snickers would escape my tightly clenched lips. He would walk around the room and check the closet and under the bed. I could never hold in my laughter for long. Normally, by the time he checked under the bed, I was crying with laughter.
Ah, there she is.
My father said, a big, loving smile on his handsome face. He would hug me and tickle me. Oh, I missed my father.